Shalom to the elect of Israel. Got to give our praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekah, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Ark pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Aqua for our listening and learning. I'm Isaiah, coming to with another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. And this is another True News, very edifying video. Lord's willing to be edifying to you, Aki.
The world news, but the true news is Jesus Christ died on a cross for your sins, was buried, rose from the dead, ascended to heaven, and is coming back in great glory. Amen. He's coming back in great glory, and he's going to establish his kingdom, which will reign forever. It shall have no end. It doesn't go for 1,000 years. It has no end. Hallelujah. Forever.
And he died for whose sins? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian, and Haitians.
That's the true news. That's the good news. And that's why we're here. We appreciate you spending an hour, sometimes an hour and a half with us. We're very honored that you can be here.
Of our program, our Friday edition of the Godcast. Wow, a lot of people have tuned in to that.
Amazing.
Close to 70,000, might even be over 70,000 by the time we sit down here today.
So you're just talking about YouTube.
Yes,
just YouTube. And you add up all the numbers. It's hundreds of thousands of people on all the platforms, and you put it all together.
Right.
But amazing. It was just the topic of a third temple.
Yes.
And a lot of people wanted to hear what we had to say about a third temple. And
well, there's a lot of confusion on the third temple.
Yeah.
In the church and outside of the church. People just don't know. But one thing that is a fact is there is policy being made because of the third temple that will affect everybody.
Right. That's right. Well, listen, we're going to talk today about what's the status of the New World Order? And in my view is that there are multiple New World Order operations underway. We've been living in the New World Order since the end of World War II.
And that New World Order was constructed as a result of the victors in World War II and the reconstruction of Europe and all the intelligence agencies that were tied in with that.
The creation of the IMF, the World Bank,
NATO,
all that is the New World Order. And so I've been telling people for years, stop talking about the New World Order is coming. You're living in it.
Right.
All right? This is it. This is why the world has become weird. You're in the New World Order.
Right.
New World Order. But the Western-controlled New World Order is dying. And George Herbert Walker Bush died and didn't see his dream come true. David Rockefeller died, did not see the dream come true. Henry Kissinger will not see the dream come true. George Soros will not see it come true. Their New World Order is dying.
Right.
But
And it's dying, man. Okay? Hey, man, Esau Edom Kingdom is falling, man. It's crumbling like cornbread, man. Okay? Like a piece of cake. Like some crackers, man. Okay? Like unsaltine crackers, man. New World Order, their kingdom is crumbling, man.
But there are others who have their version of a world order that are waiting in the wings for this world order to die. And then there are other powers and forces and entities that are waiting in the wings for that world order to fail. There's a world order coming that Satan's building.
Right.
Okay, that he's got a world order that he wants to bring, and he has a plan. But what we want to talk about here today is that Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, made some amazingly blunt statements. And I've watched this man for years.
Now, I'm finna jump to about 38 minutes to get to this conversation of this guy right here. because Russia.
Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, describing this polycentric world order.
The general vector is set by the strengthening of the multilaterality principles, the creation of a polycentric international order. This will be a long era in the history of humanity, I believe, and it is already ongoing. New centers of economic growth are appearing, are emerging. Centers of political importance, political power. The GDP of the Asia-Pacific region has risen to 37% of the global GDP. At the same time, we can see that the Western liberal model of development that supposes the loss of parts of national sovereignty, and this is what our Western colleagues basically proposed as part of their globalization process. This model is now becoming less and less popular. Nobody is trying to imitate it, and even the Western world citizens themselves are more and more suspicious about it. Of course, the creation, the emergence of new centers of power require a search for a new balance of interests. It requires new compromises, and of course, diplomacy should play the leading role here.
So, starting in, I would think, somewhere maybe in the mid to late 90s, and then it really got rolling in the 2000s, was this topic of globalization, right? It really wasn't a common word in our vocabulary, but, somewhere with Bill Clinton and then George W. Bush, globalization became the buzzword.
Yes.
Right? Globalization sweeping the world. Everything's going to be globalized.
The internet helped.
And the internet, yes. And so, we had the World Trade Organization. We had all these new entities that came together in trade deals. And, they were talking about, the North American Union. Right. And other geographical areas becoming like the European Union. This is before the European Union started to fall apart, right? When everybody was talking about how wonderful the European Union was.
And a fulfillment of Bible prophecy.
That's right. And so globalization was on everybody's lips in the 90s and the 2000s. What Sergei Lavrov said is, to kind of use a country saying, the shine is off the apple, right?
It's no longer attractive to countries.
That apple doesn't shine anymore. That apple's got worms. And he's saying the world is starting to notice the worms in the apple. They don't want globalization anymore. Right. Now, the world is not saying, hey, we want to become reclusive. We don't want to associate with anybody. We don't want to trade. That's not what the world is saying.
We want to do business.
They want to do business, but we want to do business honestly, and we don't want some bully telling us who we can do business with, how we can do business, and then threatening us if we don't do business their way, because
And that's North America, man. North America has been the bully over all these other countries, and they're sick of it, man. People don't understand that these countries are sick of North America with their sanctions and their democracy and their legislations. They're tired of it, man. So guess what? They just said it, man. It's prophecy, man. Okay? EU and NATO, hey, they is separating, man. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is mixed with miry clay. So these kingdoms is breaking up, man. Okay, and this guy from Russia, he let you know, man, hey, that the West is losing, man. They are falling bad, man, because what happened? They are becoming weak, man, and the other nations are becoming strong. Matter of fact, this is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 10. And it reads, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? The pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. And that's what's going on now, man, with these North American Edomites, man. Okay? Their pomp has been brought down, man. Okay, this is Joel chapter 2, Joel chapter 3, in verse Joel 3 in verse 10. Be your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So now you got the nations that was weak. North America controlled all these other nations, man. Okay, because all the other nations was weak. Because North America had that number one military. Now, all the other nations are becoming strong, and North America is becoming a weak nation, man. Thus saith the scriptures.
That's a mafia. That's a gangster operation. And so what Sergei Lavrov is saying is the world is starting to pull away from the United States because the U.S. is acting like gangsters.
And they always be gangsters, man. Okay? Hey, man, this is prophecy, man. That's why I like watching the True News. These Edomites be going in, man. Okay? Listen, man. Daniel, I just read Daniel 2, man. Okay? They shall be divided, man. They will not stay joined together, man. This is prophecy. And this Edomite finna go into a lot of other things that I gotta break out precepts on.
You know, Matthew, in my life,
I think he's watching True News.
yeah, it seems like he is.
This is what we've been saying for the last 10 years, Doc.
Matthew, in my lifetime, I've seen us go.
And then, you know, it's the pride of the Edomite talking about this is what he been saying for the last 10 years. This is in the scriptures, man. The scriptures say they will not stay joined together, man. Okay? EU and NATO will not stay joined with North America, man. The scriptures tell you that.
Go through within broadcasting, in our realm of broadcasting, a denial that there's a new world order, to the implementation of the new world order, you know, really being rolled out big time, and then an embracing of the new world order, defense of it, and then even the Trump administration saying we're creating a new world order, to now Sergei Lavrov saying we see a polycentric world order. I think I get the message. There's a world order.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, Doc, because when I started this newscast in 1999, to say New World Order got you laughed at, mocked. The news media laughed at anybody who said New World Order.
Right.
And you're like, what are you talking about? I'm quoting the world leaders who are talking about New World Order. And immediately, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. He thinks there's a New World Order. Well, now the thing's falling apart.
You were actually a conspiracy factist.
I was a factist, all right? There was a conspiracy for a New World Order, and they kept it hidden, and anybody who talked about it was vilified, ridiculed, smeared, but it's out in the open, and the world is saying to the West, we don't want it.
We don't want your world order.
Doc, even the West is saying to the West.
Yes.
Western Europe is saying, we're out.
Yes, I mean, Germany's foreign minister, Heiko Maas, last year came out against this, quote, world order multilateralism that President Trump and his administration is trying to use for enforcing trade deals, enforcing sanctions. European countries have rejected these same sovereignty-less multilateral bodies that have...
And you see that? Hey, that's scripture too, man. Let's read it, man. I'm finna get it. This is Jeremiah. Hey, because even, what it say? Even the mother shall be so confounded. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 12. Your mother shall be so confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Okay? Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Because the wrath of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Amen. Your mother shall be so confounded at you, man. Okay? Hey, man, you Edomites in North America is finished, man.
Basically redefine what we think now when we think of world powers.
And they're opting out because the United States is having a difficult time maintaining an iron grip on everything.
Yes.
And the more
He
it
said
slips
iron
away,
grip.
the deeper the U.S. digs its nails, its fingernails, its claws into everybody, trying to hold on, and that hurts more. And people are saying, "Wait a minute, you're not my friend. You're starting to act like an enemy,
An abuser.
an abuser."
And Sergei Lavrov even addressed this in that same program that we just saw there. He went on to say that the U.S. is in decline and is desperately holding on.
Yeah.
To,
That's Daniel chapter 2, 41 and 42, man.
Because the lack of information. When you control the narrative through your media, through films, movies, all this, and you can control what is coming out. Now with the internet, now with more reporting, now with more leaks, you're starting to see the break in this world order that they try to construct. And then when President Bush said it in his State of the Union, or a new world order, that was kind of when it first came out to vernacular, and people were like, what is this new world order he's talking about? The 7 points of light, all this stuff. And now with the internet and you're getting a little bit more inner look at their dealings, and now you can put pieces together. We can get all this information and look, oh, they did this, this, and this, and affected this. You can start to see what their plans are, and people aren't happy with their plans.
That's right.
And now the controlled are starting to see who their controllers were, and they're not happy with that.
That's right. By the way, the term New World Order,
Which is the Rothschilds.
I've seen it used as far back as the Woodrow Wilson administration in World War I. All right.
And it's on our currency. It's Novus Ordo Seclorum.
Yes.
So
That's right.
So it's been there the whole time.
And
And that's straight fact, man.
There's one.
It's on the money,
episode
man.
of the Three
New
Stooges
World
in
Order.
the 1940s, where the Stooges are yelling, "Stop in the name of the New World Order."
Wow, I've never seen that.
Yes. Seen that?
Special
I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you. So, I mean, that was World War II. And they knew about the New World Order. It's just the public didn't know about it, and the public didn't know about it, 5 years ago. It's just the internet that has, and alternative news programs like True News that has educated the public.
I think it is. I think it's education through news organizations like ours. We get to see all the stuff and put it together and really show that.
And it's crazy because they bring out a lot of things, man. But it's in the scriptures, man. Everything that's been going on in the past 500 years with Esau eating the so-called white man is in the scriptures, man. Okay? It's all in the scriptures, man. And you have the apostles and elders been bringing this out for years, man. Years. Before any of these news outlets been coming out with this, man. The truth has been coming out, man, for years, man. Okay? All the way back in from the late 60s, man, to now, this truth been coming out, man. Way before these Edomites was on TV screen, man. Okay?
The truth behind it, and that's the one thing that they had control over for so long.
So what are they doing now? The controllers. We're going to censor the internet.
Yes.
It's
Because the internet which they created has now become an octopus, a creature that they can't control. And so the only thing that they know what to do
It's destroy.
is destroy, control.
or put a little things on like little check marks marks.
Sure.
Like the check marks.
Hey, that's what they talking about. If you don't have 1,000 views, you can't go live. Because like they just said, they can't control this, man. Okay? They cannot control what's going on YouTube, man. What's going on the web, man. This truth is going out heavy, man. It's a floodgate of truth going out from the web, man. And they can't stop it.
The news guard. The news guard.
I appreciate the check marks because then that shows me which ones are already bought and paid for.
Yes, stay with you. Those are the ones you don't want to believe, all right?
So
So last week, Great Britain introduced an internet regulator.
That's right.
A government agency to regulate content on the internet.
Wow.
They're losing control.
You know, what's interesting with this, Rick, is that while some world leaders and countries are moving towards censorship, I think others, like Russia, started to realize that if the West are going to claim that the Russian leaders are propagandists, they're enemies of the state, they have to play their statements. So the Russians, for example, Sergei Lavrov, he now, I think, is being even further emboldened with his statements, the bluntness, being very clear, because he's not just talking to his people when he makes these statements, he's talking to the world. And in this speech, the second speech after, this was the one at the Council on Foreign Defense Policy, this was on Saturday, Sergei Lavrov laid out that America's not only in decline, they've become the destroyer of the world order. He actually laid out the specific characteristics of what America has done this past year in regard to the Palestinians, in regard to Ukraine. He laid out every aspect of what America has done to destroy the post-World War II order that they pushed to create.
That's right. And he's also been making comments about how the U.S. is deliberately sabotaging efforts by other nations to work out solutions to problems. Yeah, I was just thinking about this. That it was January 2010, and I was on a week-long fast, and the Lord spoke to me that week about a lot of things, and then I shared it on True News when we were a podcast. And one of the things that the Lord spoke to me that week was, He said, America's prestige, influence, power, and wealth is going to leave, and it's going to be. The Lord said it's going to be distributed to multiple nations. And I remember that very clearly. The Lord said it's not going to be one nation that rises up and becomes equal to what America is now. But he told me, he said the power, prestige, wealth, and influence of America is going to start leaving the country and being distributed.
These Edomites always talking about their vision. They always talking about their visions.
Countries, okay?
But all this is in the scriptures, man.
For myself personally, as a minister of the gospel, as a businessman, I'll say, I'm giving you advance notice. The future of your country is not going to be. He didn't put a time limit on it. He didn't give me any dates. He just said you're going to start seeing your country losing its influence and its wealth. I shared that on True News.
All that's in the scriptures, man.
The small-minded people.
Matter of fact, I want to read this real quick. This is Psalms 78, verse 2. And it reads, I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. Okay? I will utter dark sayings of old. These things is in the scriptures, man. He talking about the Lord came to him and gave him a vision. Man, these Edomites just be quoting things that's in the scriptures, man. This is Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. So, man, these things was already spoken of, man. These Edomites be going over and beyond, trying to make it seem like they deep, man. But they ain't deep, man.
That don't really listen to what I say. They just start banging out something, on social media right away. Rick Ross prophesied this, right? So, Doc, I think they probably gave me like 30 days for this to come true, Suddenly, Rick Wells' failed prophecy. It wasn't a prophecy. I simply said, look, I was on the fast, and this is what I believe the Holy Spirit said. And he was meaning this is going to be.
Nah, it's what he believed the Holy Spirit said.
Okay.
But he said the Lord came to him, man.
Small-minded people who do not know the ways of the Lord, right? They think it's got to happen now, like in the next. If it didn't happen in 7 days, it's not true. It's not real. It's not from the Lord. But a lot of you did hear what I said, and you understood. You discerned it, and you began making preparations. You began planning. The country that we're living in is not going to be what we knew. Certainly, what I knew as a child growing up in the 50s and the 60s, not going to be anything like it. It's not going to be. We're not going to be anything like we were in the 90s. We're drifting away, and so we're starting to look like a.
Man, the scriptures say North America is going to be a desolate wilderness, man. Okay?
And other
it's going to be a wasteland, man.
Are worried. I'm looking at what Sergei Lavrov said. He hailed a new geopolitical era marked by multipolarity. The emergence, this is his words, quote, the emergence of new centers of power to maintain stability in the world requires the search for a balance of interests and compromises. He said that there is a shift in the center of global economic power from east to west.
It is.
Saying this,
Yes.
right?
North America losing, man.
To the east from the west.
They will not be a part of this power, man.
Years, America's wealth is going to leave and go to the east. We've been telling people this.
And what these Edomites don't understand is Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua finna come take over, man. After North America fall, no one will take rulership but Yahushua and the elect, man.
From the United States to the east. The east is a big area.
The Lord is finna establish his mountain, man. Okay, Isaiah chapter 2, 1 through 4, man.
That's the east. There's where the power is going. And just based on world history, all right, forget about, I'm just saying, put aside, I don't say forget, but put aside Bible prophecy, because we don't know when the Lord is coming back. But just based on world history, what we're looking at, Doc, is a 500-year cycle. Right. That the East will dominate the world for the next 500 years as the European American center of power has dominated for the past 500 years.
Nah, did you hear that? Okay. He said these Europeans has been rulership in wickedness for the past 500 years. How long have we been in slavery under these Edomites? For over 500 years, man. Okay? This is out of the mouth of an Edomite, man. Okay? This is out of the mouth of an Edomite, man. I gotta run that back, man. I gotta run that back. I got to. I gotta run that back.
I'm telling people this, right? And I desperately tried back in 2007, 2008, 2009, telling people you have to deal with the reality that everything is moving from the United States to the east. The east is a big area. That's China. That's Singapore.
India.
It's India. It's Russia. That's the east. There's where the power is going. And just based on world history, all right, forget about, I'm just saying, put aside, I don't say forget, but put aside Bible prophecy, because we don't know when the Lord is coming back. But just based on world history, what we're looking at, Doc, is a 500-year cycle. Right. That the East will dominate the world for the next 500 years as
It might say 500 years.
American center of power has dominated for the past 500 years. That's what's happening.
Yes.
All right. So the European American.
These Edomites these Russian Edomites or whoever is not finna rule this earth for another 500 years, man. These Edomites is bugged out of their damn mind, man. Okay? Yahweh Shah's finna come back and establish his kingdom, man. But like he said, the Europeans have been ruling for 500 years in wickedness, man.
American culture, civilization, is declining.
Yes, it is declining.
Eastern civilizations and cultures are rising.
Yeah, they is
It's
rising.
a fact of life, and it doesn't matter.
All props
whether
of
you
Yahweh
like
by
it or
Yahweh
not.
Shah.
It's a reality, and your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren are going to live in a different world. It's not going to be like it is like it's been in our lifetime.
Yes.
And so this is what he's saying. It's almost identical to what we've been saying. He said, unfortunately, our Western partners, led by the United States, do not want to agree on common approaches to solving problems. He accused the U.S. and its allies of trying to preserve centuries-old domination in world affairs.
They've been doing that.
That's what I said.
That democracy, man. Esau been ruling by the
This
sword, man, for
500
over 500
cycle
years,
is
man.
coming to an end.
Oh,
And
what did he just say? The 500-year cycle is what? Coming to an end, man. Play that again.
live in a different world. It's not going to be like it is like it's been in our lifetime.
Yes.
And so this is what he's saying. It's almost identical to what we've been saying. He said, unfortunately, our Western partners, led by the United States, do not want to agree on common approaches to solving problems. He accused the U.S. and its allies of trying to preserve centuries-old domination in world affairs.
Right.
That's just what I said, 500 years. All right? This 500-year cycle is coming to an end.
And that's how long we've been in slavery on these Edomites. 500 years, man.
West is digging in, scratching, doing everything it can to maintain control, but it can't. The danger that we have is war.
Yes.
As the old power center is losing power, becomes
It's all
freaked
prophecy
out,
of Yahweh Ba'ash Yahweh
angry,
Shah, man.
terrified, frantic, and lashes out in war. And they know that.
Yes.
I mean, you've never had a transition of power like this when the nations going into decline were nuclear armed. I mean, think about this, but before you could potentially launch a massive invasion, you could start a massive war, but you were limited by the destructive power of the times. Back, let's say 1600, you had gunpowder, rudimentary gunpowder and cannons. Now we have nuclear weapons, hypersonic machines. We have killer robots on the horizon. These are the weapons of this future transition.
We have the ability to destroy the earth.
Mm.
And that's one of the reasons Jesus Christ comes back.
Right.
He comes back to destroy those who destroy the earth.
And that's Revelation 11 and 18,
All
man.
flesh would perish.
That's right.
Every bit of it would perish.
And that's in
That's
the Bible.
Matthew 24 and
He comes back to
22.
destroy those who destroy the earth.
When we bring this up,
He will destroy them who's destroying the earth. Who's destroying the earth?
Well,
Edomites, man.
it's Americans who stop being American. Like, there's not an America as we once knew it, where,
There's an entire generation for abortion.
we have Republicans, Democrats, but they're equally American. That's gone. There's no more like America.
We have globalists.
We have factions fighting for power here. They've won by putting us against each other.
But that was, see, this is just it. The globalists had a strategy.
Yes.
And they tried to globalize this country, all right, break down the society, multiculturalism, all the stuff that
Destroyed the family.
they destroyed the family. Guess what? You destroyed your New World Order. But that's what they were going to export to the whole world.
Yes.
And the world is looking at it saying, no, you're not bringing it here. We don't want it. That's why when you were in Italy, people came together at a pro-family conference because they're saying, we don't want in our countries what America has become. We used to look up to America. Now we don't look up to it anymore, all right, because it's become opposite of everything. Right? So listen to what Lavrov said. He's talking about the United States. He says, in order to artificially retain their dominance, to regain indisputable positions, they, meaning the United States, employ various methods of pressure and blackmail to coerce economically and through the use of information. He's saying America's acting like gangsters now.
Thugs, mafia.
They've been acting this way since they came over here and slaughtered Native American Indians, man.
Basically, the foreign minister is saying America is in decline, and the only way it can compete with other nations is dishonestly. Right. They have to rig the system in order to happen, to make it happen. We actually have a clip of him saying that. If you like.
Job 13:4, man, they are all forges of lies, man.
If we speak about the economic power of the U.S., we can see that it is diminishing. We see extensive growth of China and India, other countries of the region. As for the U.S., as we've seen for the past couple of years, the U.S. basically cannot honestly compete with the new developing countries.
North America finished, man.
In good faith, basically. That is why Washington, for example, because it cannot work through the WTO, it tries to freeze the situation in its current state and use unilateral sanctions, use its own legal system, basically imposing it on the rest of the world.
Exactly.
Trade wars that are also imposed by the US on the other states are a good example of that. They're using this not only just against other states, but also against their own allies. And the Nord Stream 2 situation is also a good illustration of that. Or what has been done against Turkey after Turkey decided to buy Russian arms.
So they've obviously laid out many of these steps America's taken.
He said that Edomite said
Germany, Turkey out this past
they been going against all the other nations, man. Okay, with their democracy, with their legislations, with their philosophies, man. And it ain't working no more, man.
With everything going on there for a while, and then just this past week,
hey, North American Edomites are finished, man.
With Egypt, switched everything around.
Yeah,
that's how quickly you can get on America's bad side.
That's right. I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but first,
hey, you Edomites are finished, man.
Excuse me. Reporting all cooperation with NATO and Russia, all communication between Russia and NATO has ended.
Oh man, that's cool.
That's scary.
Well, this is from the deputy.
And that's beautiful,
this is
man.
Not from just a regular fit. This
okay,
is
that's beautiful.
The undersecretary to Sergei Lavrov, and this is all in regard to what you already mentioned in the front about the Kerch Strait showdown. That NATO, with a flotilla, is looking to challenge Russia's sovereignty. And
if they go up, if they take those boats up there, who do they communicate with? If they've
that's just it. There's nobody communicating.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying.
They're just going to sail.
So when communication ends, war starts.
Exactly.
You know what? In the statement, something very interesting that the deputy secretary, the deputy foreign minister said. He said that Russia's taking every precaution to neutralize the threats. Now, this is referring to NATO sailing their ships through without giving any warning. And he said that Russia will respond in kind to any challenges to their sovereignty. I mean, these are not the words of someone who's about to back down on a statement. Their line is, the Kerch Strait is ours, and you will follow the protocol. Let alone we might have to neutralize the threat.
So this was Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grishko, who's the number 2 to Sergei Lavrov.
Yes, sir.
He said Russia has stopped all cooperation with NATO. He said, quote, NATO has itself abandoned a positive agenda in its relations with Russia. It doesn't exist. Those are comments to Novosti News Service. And up until 2018, Mr. Grishko was Russia's envoy to NATO. He was the official representative to the NATO organization.
So he knows these people on a first name basis.
Absolutely. He's saying we have no communication anymore.
Right. But he's laying the blame at the doorstep of NATO, not of Russia, because NATO has abandoned a positive agenda in this road. And he's right about that. We have abandoned.
And he said he warns against a NATO conflict with Russia. He said all sensible people hope it doesn't happen. It would be
Hey, this
a
is beautiful,
humanitarian
man.
catastrophe. He said, I'm sure they understand that in Washington and Brussels. All right, it's going to be more than humanitarian catastrophe.
Well, they were just
Global
together in Washington.
Thermonuclear catastrophe is what he's
talking
discussing.
maybe 1 billion people dead. All right, he's understating what a war would be, but he's saying, I'm sure they understand it in Washington and Brussels. He said, you get my drift. You get my point, what I'm saying, right? It's going to be a catastrophe. They're telling NATO, we know what kind of games you were playing, and we're ready for you. I hope and pray, I'm telling you folks, every Christian, you need to pray that cooler heads prevail this week, and that the NATO plan to run Ukrainian ships through the Kerch Strait on Wednesday or Thursday, you need to pray that this is stopped. I'm telling you, God sends.
And you see, this is what I'm saying with these Edomites, man.
Storm.
We're praying for these things to happen,
Do
man.
something, Lord. All right, prevent this from happening.
He talking about praying that it not happen. Man, we praying that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai bring the destruction down on North America and around the world, man. We're praying for this, man.
2 weeks ago, he came to,
See, this show you that these are Edomites,
Washington,
man.
both to speak to Congress,
Okay?
but also to hold the council.
And Christians are Israelites, man. Tell you that in Acts 11 and 26.
Rick, I have a question for you. The New World Order, as we've known it in the past.
Because, see, what you got to understand is these
was
Edomites,
constructed as a result of
they don't want this world destroyed, man. Okay?
the West against the Soviet Union. And then
They don't want this world destroyed. They want to stay here and live deliciously, man.
Europe and, Middle East and different
We
places
trying to get up out of here.
And
So we're praying that Yahweh will destroy this place, man.
threat. All right, so that's how the New World Order was built. Was built on the foundation of
That's the
military
difference between Edomites and Israelites, man.
Union at that time is different than the Russian Federation today. It was a threat.
So let me ask you this: does the West really want a hot war with Russia, or are they looking to restart a new Cold War in order to, it worked in the past? Will it work again?
Well, they've already started it. We've been in a new Cold War for several years, and the Democrats helped push it with the Russian collusion narrative. All this stuff has been part of it, and President Trump has just fallen into it and is being led into it. But Doc, I think they want a hot war. I really do.
They want that change to happen more rapidly than it did in the past.
They know that their empire is breaking apart.
There it is.
It's breaking up.
That's Daniel chapter 2, 41 and 42, man.
Given them the projections. They've had those projections 20 years ago when the empire would break up. Listen, artificial intelligence is not something new. They've had artificial intelligence for decades.
Right.
They have the projections. They know that they have to do something, in the early 2020s, the things falling apart. How many trillions of dollars of debt is America holding right now? I mean, I saw a figure the other day that the real debt of America, when you count all the unfunded liabilities, government pensions, all that,
North America is breaking apart, man, with these other nations, man. This is prophecy.
Everything that we've guaranteed. It's in the hundreds of trillions.
The Iraq war alone, $100 trillion.
$1 trillion of debt.
Over 200 trillion, man. North America in debt, man.
Up to 20 trillion. No, it's like 200 trillion.
20 trillion out like it's the change that you have in the ashtray of your car.
Well, that's just one country, though.
What pulled us out of the Great Depression? A war. I mean, and that was a significant depression.
And if you you read the comments of some of the congressmen in the 1930s about the new Federal Reserve Bank, because the Federal Reserve just came into existence after World War One, and there were congressmen giving fiery speeches on the floor of the House, accusing the Federal Reserve of creating, deliberately starting the Great Depression. Okay? So, look, there have been people for the past 100 years who have known that something very sinister and evil took control of this country after World War One.
And they doubled down after World War
Yes.
II.
Yes.
And the horrors.
And it's desperate right now to hold on to power.
I think they know full well how bad, how awful, how horrific a new war would be, and I think they're willing to go into it. I was looking at one of a think tank researcher. His name is Yves Boyer. He works for the Foundation for Strategic Research. He commented on the status right now, the Kerch Treaty. He said the situation in Russia is like tickling a bear under its chin, thinking that it will impress him, but it's completely ridiculous. The shore of the Sea of Azov is completely Russian. It's like telling Americans to stay out of business in the Gulf of Mexico. No NATO country will taunt the Russians too much in the Sea of Azov. We must not forget that Russia is not just any old country. It's the second largest nuclear power in the world. I think he says this, I'm going to put this out here, because they want a really bloody war.
They do.
You'll look at the powers governments got out of World War II. Look at the powers people got out of the war on terrorism.
So if Russia was telling the United States, we're going to escort Iranian warships through the Gulf and we're going up the Mississippi, and we dare you to do something about it, we would be looking at each other going, the people that run Russia are insane.
Imagine
They've lost their minds. We have to deal with these people.
Imagine the media, the amount of cameras, every specials would be, but that's over here. That's what they think. Russia's way over there. I never heard that straight. What are you talking about? For us in America, like, they're not cognitively aware of the situation like this.
But over there, they're having TV shows talking about insane American war planners,
Yes.
scheming to run warships in their waters. And that's what they're seeing on their nightly news. But the American people don't know anything about it because
American Idol's on, right?
they have no idea.
The Voice right now.
Oh, The Voice, sorry. American Idol's not on anymore.
So I'm going to get back to Alexander Grishko, the Deputy Foreign Minister. He was asked Saturday, what is Russia's attitude towards NATO activity in the Black Sea? He said, definitely negative.
Yes.
Their activities in the Black Sea region cannot add security. They are undermining regional stability. Now listen to this. We will definitely take every precaution to neutralize the threats related to increased NATO activity in the region. Neutralize.
What is neutralize? And what do they mean?
Eradicate.
Well, how do you neutralize a cockroach?
Exactly.
When you even have to neutralize something, you take it out, okay? He said, we are closely following how the alliance will be planning to strengthen its presence in the region, and we will respond in kind.
Yes.
Our deep belief is that the security in that region should be first and foremost ensured through cooperation among Black Sea states. They are all required instruments for doing so. And then TASS reporting the Russia's Black Sea Fleet is monitoring the USS Ross destroyer that entered the Black Sea April 14. The Russian National Defense Management Center released a statement saying the Black Sea forces are currently monitoring the movement of the U.S. Navy's Ross guided missile destroyer that entered the Black Sea on April 14, 2019. They're gearing up. They're preparing. The Russians they know at any moment.
And they're committed assets. There's a reconnaissance warship and also a patrol boat the Russians have put basically to shadow, to mirror the movements of the Ross. Because, again, this is a warship, a U.S. warship that's armed with Tomahawk missiles, the same warship we used in Syria.
We'll go through some headlines very quickly here so that we can get to the main thing. We have the U.S. Declaration that the Iranian National Guard, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is a terrorist organization that went into effect today. All right, so
Sovereign states army, basically.
so the entire military forces of Iran has now been labeled by the United States a terrorist organization, which, as we told you a week or two ago, automatically triggers specific things that must happen by the U.S. State Department, by the Treasury Department, by the Pentagon, a host of agencies. So it went into effect today, and Times of Israel reporting that Israel's National Security Council advisor Meir Ben Shabbat met today in Washington with John Bolton.
Oh, Lord help us.
Oh, they both know that the gloves are off at this point.
Well, these two go together.
Yes.
The Iranian Guard, now a terrorist organization, Israel's National Security Chief meeting with John Bolton today. All right. These two articles go together. And then ABC News reported new concerns Trump administration may be laying legal groundwork for military action against Iran.
And what this is referring to is after we declared war on pretty much any entity we consider to be terrorist in the world, then after 2001, something called the Authorization for Use of Military Force, used the acronym AUMF. It means that America can commit both kinetic aircraft, troops. We can do anything in any country based off of this authorization. This now may expand.
That came into effect after the 2001 terrorist attacks.
That's correct.
And it goes around the boundaries of war. You don't have to call it war anymore.
You don't have to. It
conflict
doesn't have to be ratified.
Just call it a conflict. Yeah, it goes around it because you don't need congressional approval for
Because
this
you're fighting
action.
terrorism.
That's right.
Drone strikes,
You're
Guantanamo
fighting
Bay.
terrorists.
So to fight a terrorist, what do you have to be? A terrorist. So you can lock down their bank accounts. You can lock down, different rules apply to dealing with terrorists than it would in fighting in a military conflict. There are rules of war. People may not realize this, but there are actually rules laid out in the Geneva Convention on how to fight a war. When you're fighting terrorists, you can take that book and you can toss it out the window. It doesn't matter anymore because terrorists are really evil. Fighting an army is bad, but fighting a terrorist, well, that's really evil.
So the fact that Israel was able to convince President Trump to declare the Iranian military a terrorist organization provides the legal framework for the entire federal government to skirt all international treaties and conventions regulating warfare and simply go after Iran using whatever methods and weapons and torture, whatever is necessary because they're terrorists. That's what we're saying.
And for those who are saying, well, Rick, Israel didn't do that. As a matter of fact, Benjamin Netanyahu boasted about it last week.
Bragged about it.
Bragged that he convinced President Trump to implement this.
Well,
They were bragging about
You
it.
can count on
election.
Yes.
count on him to boast about what he's done.
So in this case, yes, Israel directly influenced a foreign policy decision in public. And everybody sits there and goes, I don't see Israel doing anything wrong. They never do anything wrong.
The ABC News article mentions that the Trump administration is now tying Iran together with Al-Qaeda.
Yes. Now, isn't this
I thought Al-Qaeda retired because they couldn't compete with ISIS. They weren't as mean and nasty as ISIS. I mean,
Hey, this is a good video to watch. This True News video, they go in on a couple more things. And it's a very edifying video, man. But I just want to get some of those points out of it. It inspired to go to almost an hour. But our Lord's witness are edifying. Gotta give our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the ark of pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, looking up the hope for the elect. Shalom to the Akwa for our listening and learning. Shalom.